why. I'm like a little bit nervous for this video. This is kind of like me branching out and doing new stuff, so it's like expanding my horizons. I guess I'm probably most nervous about like that this is gonna be just like a total flop and I'm not gonna learn anything from this experience, or that this video is just gonna come out horribly, but we'll see. That's why we experiment and try new things. As if nothing else, this video can be for me and my enjoyment. So I'm deciding to try something a little bit new-ish today. I don't generally talk about the music I listen to on a personal level a ton on this channel. I've talked about some of my musical tastes, but I haven't like sat down and talked about like, this is the kind of music I listen to on a regular basis. And to be fair, most of it's because I really don't listen to music. I really don't listen to music on the regular. I know this is a surprisingly common thing among a lot of musicians. I feel like there's two different camps when it comes to this. There's people who are avid listeners of music, and then there's like musicians. And surprisingly enough, musicians are really bad at listening to music. And for me, my problem is that when I like work on stuff around the house, I usually like to have something to listen to, but the thing I gravitate more towards is like informative podcasts and like long sit-down lectures and people talking about information. And that's what I gravitate towards a lot when I listen to things while I'm doing stuff around the house, and not so much music. So I'm really trying to make this video today to not only just push myself and to like sit down and listen to music more, but also to utilize this opportunity to try to expand my tastes a bit more. Not that I have narrow tastes at all, I don't. But one area of music that I'm not very familiar with is more modern classical music. I know very little about it. I know just briefly like what was covered in like my music history kind of class. I will say I know more about choral modern music, mostly because I feel like most choirs that are out and performing nowadays tend to perform more modern music. But I want more than just like modern choral music. I want to hear like what all kinds of classical modern music sounds like. So my goal for today is to hopefully find at least one, preferably more pieces that I can sit down and listen to and kind of go, yeah, this is good, this is interesting, and like find a Spotify playlist of some kind to add it to. So my goal for this is to do this for most of the day, to sit down and listen to music for several hours. Part of the challenge is going to be me sitting and listening to music for several hours, despite me doing stuff in the background. It tends to, you know, doing that can wear down on you after a while, even if it's something you really enjoy. So I'm gonna try to do this for several hours. I have chores I need to run around the house anyways, so I'm probably gonna be filming myself just like doing some of those chores. But I'm also gonna try to cut in and make commentary on all the different pieces that I'm listening to. Hopefully, ideally, I'd like to be able to make commentary on every single piece, but I also realistically know myself well enough that I'm probably going to forget several different pieces in my attempt at making commentary on each of them. Obviously, I can't play them for you because that's just asking for a copyright strike. So instead, I'm going to try to be really descriptive, make some commentary on it, and I'll also try to make sure to name the composer and the piece of what I'm listening to, so that if you're interested in kind of following along with me, you can go and search those pieces out for yourself. So I guess without further ado, I guess we're gonna start into this thing. All right, wish me luck. Okay, so I'm listening to this first one here. I gotta take this off because I can't listen and talk at the same time. I have such a hard time with that. Okay, so I guess I figured these songs would be longer. I'm definitely not going to be able to review every single one, but I'm going to try to keep track of all of them. So we'll see how that goes. I'm kind of working on that right now. But anyways, this first one I'm listening to is The Illusionist Suite by Philip Glass, arranged by Bruce Livingston for piano. It's number 4, Life in, come on, keep scrolling. Number 4, Life in the Mountains. So that's the first one I'm listening to. It's really pretty. It's a strictly piano piece here. Sort of piano arrangement, I guess, of a Philip Glass piece. Yeah, it's really nice so far. we'll see how this goes. Although this one's about halfway done, so I'll probably already be moving on to the next one by the time I'm done with my little blurb here. So I'll see you in a bit, I guess. So I decided to pause it while listening to my music because I don't want to try to focus on two things at once here. But I'm already on my second song. The first one is really short because it's like 3-4 minutes. But this next one's a lot longer. It's 13 minutes long. And I guess I didn't know what to expect at first. But skimming through this playlist when I first was looking through it, I saw like a lot of Philip Glass in here. So far, my first 2 songs have been like Philip Glass pieces. And I didn't know what to expect because I don't listen to a lot of Philip Glass. I've heard a lot about Philip Glass, but I guess my impression of him and the pieces that I talked about that were his were, I guess they were more on the atonal kind of side. That's for sure like what I associated him with. But these first 2 pieces, one granted was a piano arrangement, but the second one is, it's Mad Rush by Philip Glass. And I don't know, they're like not at all what I expected. The second one, Mad Rush, feels, I guess, probably more minimalistic. It's very, very, very repetitive. So it like kind of just has the same themes over and over and over and over again. But it's really nice. I guess maybe I'll like Philip Glass more than I expected to. I know there's like a whole like cult of people out there who like love Philip Glass, and I'm sure if any of them are out there like watching this video right now, they're probably like, yes, Philip Glass, trying to convert me. So who knows, maybe I'll get on the Philip Glass train by the end of this listening session. We'll see if there's anybody else other than him, but so far I guess my first thing I'm learning today is that Philip Glass makes some good music, so I'll keep listening. Get my stuff back up here. Okay, so I just listened to my third one. So it was a third Philip Glass piece. Don't worry, I've seen what's coming up next. I paused it right as it started, and it's not a Philip Glass one, so I will have another commentary other than Philip Glass. But I suddenly stupidly realized my commentary on my last one that I did, I was like, oh, I thought Philip Glass was a, I guess, atonal, aleatoric kind of type composer. And I realized what my problem was with that, which was that, and I know this is not the first time I've done this, in my head I got Philip Glass mixed up with Karlheinz Stockhausen, which Karlheinz Stockhausen definitely does write in that atonal, aleatoric type music. And then I looked at Philip Glass, and Philip Glass is a minimalist composer, like I thought. So I was like sitting and listening to his stuff going, man, this sounds like a lot more minimalist than I was expecting. It's still kind of cool, because I like some minimalism. But stupid me, I don't know why I get those 2 composers mixed up in my head. This is not the first time I've done it either. I know this. But anyways, yeah, I like his stuff. The last one I just listened to was, and here's an example of Spotify not knowing how to label these songs. It was just labeled Flow, Philip Glass. Fortunately, I looked it up because I was like, what instruments are in this piece, right? Because it had a really cool sound to it. It's from his Glassworks composition, and it's the second movement titled Flow, which involved 2 flutes, 2 soprano saxophones, 2 tenor saxophones, 2 horns, and a synthesizer. Made it for a really cool sound. Would I listen to that one on the regular? Probably not. That one was a little bit, I don't know, it was a little bit heavy for me to listen to on the regular. It was cool as like a one-time listen, but I don't think it was something that I would listen to for like repeatedly over and over and over again to come back to. Oh, my arm is, I'm gonna support my own arm. Yeah, so far it's pretty interesting. I mean, all I've really listened to is minimalism. Obviously the songs are very repetitive. I guess in a way they kind of give off the same vibe as like when I talked about like that dark academia music, just because minimalism is very repetitive and it's minimal, it's very simplistic. There's not a ton to it other than the fact it just repeats itself over and over again. And sometimes it's nice to listen to, sometimes it can be like draining, depending on your taste, your opinion, and how the whole song plays out. The first two pieces really gave me more like that dark academia, more like pop classical music vibes. And I liked it, because I like that kind of music too. But I guess we'll continue on this journey. I will be back in a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna do 2 in 1 here because I had a couple of short songs. I didn't feel like stopping it like every 3 minutes to talk about a song, but I just listened to Uma by Job Roggeveen, and I'm currently listening to The Lantern by Federico Albanese. So I looked up both those composers because I wasn't familiar with either of those names, and sorry, I'm washing. Making some tea and I've got to wash a mug here. Listen to both of those and apparently they're both film composers. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Apparently they're both film composers. They're not, film composers I guess are not what I typically think of as like classical music composers, but like if I think about it for like 2 seconds, I'm like, yeah, I guess they would be considered classical music composers. Because I mean, a lot of people would consider John Williams a classical music composer, and he wrote like all kinds of film scores, you know? And a lot of film scores tend to be in that classical music tradition anyways. I'm learning a lot of things right now that it's like, I guess what I was kind of like pictured in my mind as being modern classical music is different what I'm actually listening to right now. Now, obviously that doesn't mean that what I'm listening to right now is exclusively modern classical music. It could also just be what's the most popular with modern classical music, which would make sense because a lot of the stuff I'm listening to is a lot simpler in form, a lot more subdued, exactly like, you know, what you'd hear in like films, which tends to mimic a lot of what's popular now. I can't keep holding it with this arm. I don't want to get my hand in the way on this one, but yeah, but I like it. I enjoy it. I like that type of music. A lot of like gentle piano music is what I've been getting. I'm only about like 5 songs in so far, but like almost all of it has been like very repetitive, a little bit on the slower side, generally centered around the piano. I guess I was expecting a lot more atonal experimental kind of stuff because that was my impression after going to music school of what a lot of modern classical music was going to be. But I haven't run into that on this playlist and I'm thoroughly enjoying it so far. So I will keep you posted. Yeah. Okay, so guess who just got another Philip Glass song again? Like I said, I saw a lot of Philip Glass pieces on that playlist, so I shouldn't be too surprised that like half the songs I'm listening to, actually more than half the songs I'm listening to at this point, are Philip Glass pieces. But yeah, another minimalist song. I like this one a little bit more than the last one. This is also from the Glassworks, I wanted to say symphony. Is it the chamber piece? I don't know, I don't remember exactly the correct title for it, but it's from the Glassworks, and it was the movement Islands, which was number 3, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly off the top of my head. Yeah, so far I'm getting minimalism and film type music. Yeah, it's pretty good so far. I guess I was thinking about this as I was listening to some of my songs. I should stop pacing so much. But I was thinking about this as I was listening to several of the pieces that I was like, yeah, I guess film really is the kind of modern classical music. It's the one that's taking over the most. There are other genres out there, but the one that people are going to be most familiar with and the one that probably most people are going to be composing for, because you can make the most amount of money for it, is going to be film music. And so then it got me thinking about like, well, what kinds of film music do I really enjoy? And I remembered another composer that I recently listened to in a movie I went to go see. I went to go see The Batman when I think it might have been opening night when I went to go see it. And I loved the music of that movie. That was so good. Who's the composer? Michael Giacchino, I think is his name, if I'm remembering correctly. But I particularly liked the piece that was composed for the credits at the very end, Sonata in Darkness, which kind of is an all-encompassing of like kind of all the different main motifs that occur throughout the movie of the Batman. I obviously liked the movie, but in terms of the music, I really, really loved the music. I felt like it helped really create the atmosphere that the movie was going for. And it was definitely one of those film scores that gets stuck in your head with all the little motifs he throws in for the different characters and representing different sorts of things. And it was very moody and broody, and in terms of the music, I really loved that. I thought that was really, really nice. So that probably won't show up on this playlist, unfortunately for me. But I guess another recommendation I'll throw on out there for anybody who's interested. But my tea is finally finished, so I'm gonna sip on my tea and listen to more stuff. And I think I'm about done here in the kitchen in terms of cleaning up and doing all my chores for today. So I'll figure out something else I gotta catch up on. I don't want to do chores, but I do want to listen to music, so might as well try to do both. Okay, so I like got another Philip Glass piece, and then I was like, all right, I'll listen to this. It was like yet another piece from his Glass works, and I was like, that's fine, I'll listen to it. But then I got the next song up, and I was like, another Philip Glass piece, and I was like, all right, I put this on shuffle, and I'm getting nothing but Philip Glass, and that's fine, but I wanted to listen to other people as well. So I had to skip 2 whole songs to finally get to somebody else. So I guess my comment on Philip Glass's music, since I've been getting so much of it, is I like his music, I like his style, I think it's pretty good. My taste on a personal level, I almost never just gravitate towards one specific composer. It's very much on a song-by-song basis. And I like Philip Glass stuff. I think I like his piano stuff a little bit more. I tend to like a lot of solo piano music over more multi-instrument orchestral type stuff. However, I will say about Philip Glass, I think this is hurting my arm. How do people do this? Okay, I will say about Philip Glass though, I think he does a really good job of creating super interesting soundscapes. So like the texture that he uses with the choice of instruments that he mixes together makes a really interesting like texture of sound, just overall atmosphere. So I really like that, but I can't keep listening to, I forgot to plug my mic in. Hopefully you can hear me on this. But yeah, I don't think I can keep listening to minimalism over and over and over and over again. So I might end up skipping the next few Philip Glass pieces that come up in order to listen to other composers and get some more variety in here. Because I like minimalism, but too much of minimalism can be very draining. Right now, it gave me Ravel, and I love me some Ravel, so I will eat all of this up. I'm excited to listen to this one. I'm about 54 seconds in, and it's a 7-minute long piece. It is beautiful so far, because I love me some impressionist type composers. So I'll be back later. Bye. I think I cursed myself. I was complaining about having too much Philip Glass and all the minimalism, and now It gave me John Adams. I don't know what I expected with that. So, I mean, he's different. It's a different composer. I wouldn't be so mad at all the minimalism if it was like a variety of composers. I would just be like, oh, that's just like the style right now. Holy cow, I'm just giving you a 360 of my whole apartment here. Am I making you dizzy yet? Yeah, I wouldn't be so mad at all the minimalism if I was getting a variety of composers. I guess it's not Philip Glass right now, so I'm listening to something slightly different, but okay, we're back to minimalism again. John Adams, I can tell, is different in his style than Philip Glass is, just in terms of, even though they're both minimalism. So they are still different that way, but that's what I get for opening my big mouth, isn't it? That I just get cursed with more minimal. No, it's fine. I like it. I enjoy it. But yeah, guess we'll keep on listening, huh? Okay, so I just had to restart my Spotify app on my computer because it was like really having glitchy issues and it didn't seem that anything would work other than restarting the whole thing. The last one I was just hearing was that one right there. Symphony number 3, Symphony of Sorrowful Songs number 3, Lento, I think it's Lento e Largo by Henryk Gorecki. Yeah, that one was pretty cool. That one was more, I guess, traditional classical rather than like film composer classical. Although it still gave me some, I guess, some vibes of what I've been hearing of like film composer classical. So I can't tell how much of this is like maybe this particular person's taste in modern classical music. If it's like they go for a few select genres, I can't tell how much of it is that's just what is being done in modern classical. Is that a lot of it has gotten influenced by the film industry, and so that kind of like when you do directors and stuff and producers ask for like that nice atmospheric classical kind of sound, and a lot of composers compose for that, and so then that kind of influences what's being done. And I can't tell how much of it is just what I've been landing because this is a 54-hour playlist, so I'm not going to be able to get through all of this at all. I'm continuing to go through my journey of learning more about modern classical music. I guess it's not what I expected. I guess I expected it to sound, I think I was expecting more atonality, probably because, I guess outside of modern choral music, my impression of modern classical music was wherever we had left off in my music history class, which, I feel like every history class you ever take is kind of bad at talking about what's like modern stuff, modern events, modern art, simply because their job is to cover all of history. And it's kind of like once you hit that point, right after like World War II ends, it sort of like, if you think about it, like when you took history in high school, right? You'd go through all the different events, you'd go through all the different like things that happen in history, and it's kind of like once you hit World War II, then your history teacher kind of goes, okay, yeah, and then some other stuff happened, and we don't really have time to cover it because it's summer break and we're running out of time for the rest of the year. So this is all we're gonna get through today, or for the year, and you don't really get much in terms of what happened with modern events. I guess my hot take on that is I guess it's a lot prettier than I expected it to be. But yeah, what is this one? Lullabies, Mother Sings, Father Plays. Is that the entire song title? Looks like it. Roberto Musci. All right, we'll see how this one goes. Okay, so I think I found a good stopping point here. I listened to, oh gosh, I can't remember oh no, it was that one. Okay, so I remember the last song I listened to last time I did an update here. So yeah, that last one I listened to was interesting. It was Lullabies, Mother Sings, Father Plays by Roberto Musci. And that specific one was interesting that they threw it on the playlist because it gave me much more of a folk vibe rather than like what you think of with like classical music. So I don't know if I would technically put that in, even in terms of modern classical music. It was more, it definitely gave more folk music vibes. And when I tried to look him up on Google, it definitely put him more in like, I guess I would say like maybe, is like ethnomusicology the right term for that genre of music? But definitely like studying a lot of ethnic music, studying a lot of folk music, and writing, composing music based off of that kind of stuff. Other than that though, I got through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more songs from a more variety of composers that weren't Philip Glass / minimalism. And I think I'm getting more of an understanding of, I guess, what the label of modern classical music is. And yeah, and I'm really liking it so far. I think it definitely, I think a lot of it still lies within that. I don't know what the terminology would be for it. I don't know what the genre term would be for it. I'd have to do more digging into that. But I would personally call it film score / film score like music, where it's a lot slower paced, a lot gentler, a lot more atmospheric, a lot more trying to create a certain, more about the atmosphere that you're creating rather than, you know, melody lines or specific like melodic moments or anything like that. Which makes sense given that a lot of the stuff that you hear in film scores, which makes sense given a lot of stuff you hear in people who are trying to compose classical-like music, even if they don't label their own music as classical music, traditionally speaking. I think I'm finding that this was a really good choice to sit down and try to do this, because like I said, I was less informed than I wanted to be on what the label modern classical music meant. And I'm finding more and more that it's not at all what I expected to be. I probably actually will sit down and listen to it casually now. And I think today was also a good choice. It's kind of overcast out today, and I like to listen to moodier, slower paced, classical-like music on moodier, slower paced, overcast kind of days. So I feel like it was a good fit for me to try this experiment out on this today. But yeah, that's, I'll probably put up the list or go through the list later on at the end of this video of everything that I listened to so that you can go through everything yourself, as well as also sharing whatever playlist that I'm taking all of this from, because like I said, it's a big boy. It's a big boy. I'm probably gonna sit down and like listen to the rest of it at some point eventually, if I actually remember to listen to music. That's my biggest problem here, is remembering to listen to music when I have so much other stuff I like to listen to as well that isn't music related stuff. But yeah, I'm kind of getting a nice gentle mood for today. That's what this whole playlist is giving me, is like a nice relaxed kind of vibe. But unfortunately, I do have to take a break from this because I've got some recycling that I gotta take down, as well as some trash that I gotta take out. That's part of my chores I gotta get through today. And these are Bluetooth headphones, but going down and outside all the way to the trash bins is, I don't think the Bluetooth signal will carry that far, so I will have to actually put this on pause. But after all of that's taken care of, then I will hop back into this and see what's next on my playlist, because Spotify's on an ad right now, so I can't even see what would be playing next. So yeah, the journey continues. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm gonna call it quits for today. I think I'm going on, I don't know if I quite hit the 4-hour mark, but it's definitely probably getting close to me listening to music for close to 4 hours today. At least 3, so somewhere between 3 to 4 hours of me just listening and processing music, which is a pretty long time to be sitting and like just soaking everything in, particularly since all the music was very new to me. So I'm getting worn out on that. I'm getting worn out on chores around my house. As much as listening to music helped with it, I need a break. And I think I'm gonna call it quits for the day today. Overall, I think this was a really good choice for me to do, really insightful. I definitely think I learned things in doing this. So let me see, how many songs in total did I listen to? 22 songs in total. So that's quite a decent list. The genres, so I did a little bit more digging after I took out my recycling and came back inside. I sat down and listened to a few more songs, and I did a little bit of digging just to kind of figure out, okay, so what are these genres that I'm listening to technically called? Found a lot of minimalism, found a lot of modern classical music, which is so helpful, right? However, I also found avant-garde music, a lot of film composers, as well as ambient music. And I found this out by just kind of like looking up the different composers' Wikipedia pages, seeing what they were kind of labeled as, or maybe what they self-labeled as their music or their genres that they worked in. And I think overall, I think I was expecting a lot more atonality, but it seems that in terms of at least the playlist that I looked up, and much more likely what is popular with modern classical music, is that it is a lot more ambient, kind of avant-garde type music. I guess this makes sense in terms of where we've progressed since the beginning of the 20th century. I think we just spent such a long time, or at least what I learned in music history was that most of the 20th century was very atonal, going away from a tonal center. And while that music isn't bad, in my opinion, it's definitely not what I like to sit down and listen to. But I guess what I didn't realize is that a lot more music has come away from that and definitely gone more into the minimalism realm and more into this ambient music kind of realm. And it reminded me of all of the music that I was listening to and talking about in my Dark Academia music, the video that I made. And it kind of made me realize I think the lines are a lot more blurred than I initially thought between more popular music that's trying to imitate classical music versus actual classical music. But I think the biggest thing I learned is I'm definitely going to sit down and listen to a lot more modern classical music because I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really pretty, really beautiful. 4 hours worth straight is a little bit tiring. I need a little bit more. Like I said, I like a lot of variety in my music, and it was just very, if anything, all of the pieces were very mellow. And this, again, was right in line with what I'm familiar with choral music, modern choral music. It's the same way. So I think a lot of what's coming out in modern classical music is just going for that soft, gentler tone, possibly influenced by, what films are looking for when they need music composed for them. It's nice to listen to, but it kind of, after a while, I need a change of pace right now. That's what I'm coming down to. And the other big thing I was hoping to accomplish with this whole experiment, I guess, was I was hoping to also find at least 1 or 2 new pieces that I would enjoy that I could add to one of my current Spotify playlists. And I definitely exceeded my expectations. And I ended up finding 9 total ones that I was like, this is really pretty. I think they're almost exclusively piano ones, at least very piano centered. I do have a bit of a bias for piano solo music or piano centered music. But yeah, I picked like 9 that I really liked and enjoyed. First, overall, let me go through all the songs I listened to. So bear with me as I try to pronounce some of these names because many of them are very European and not always languages I'm familiar with. So I listened to The Illusionist Suite, arranged by B. Levinson for piano, which was movement number 4, Life in the Mountains by Philip Glass. Mad Rush by Philip Glass. Not sure if that's from anything. That's all it was listed on Spotify, and I forgot to look that one up. Then was Glassworks, movement number 2, Flow by Philip Glass. Uma by Job Rogovin. The Lantern by Federico Albanese. Glassworks again, movement number 3, Islands by Philip Glass. Glassworks 4, Rubric, also again by Philip Glass. I'm pretty sure I listened to all of Glassworks in the first hour of me listening. Then next was Mirrors. My French pronunciation could use a lot of work. Mirrors, number 3, Un bac sur Lotion, by Maurice Ravel. That was probably the oldest out of all the modern ones. I was actually kind of surprised it even made it onto the list because Ravel worked a lot more in the mid 20th century. I don't know if you technically consider that to be modern anymore, but it was on there and I loved it and I enjoyed that. Hallelujah Junction, first movement by John Adams. Symphony number 3, opus 36, movement number 3, Lento e Largo, Tranquillissimo by Henryk Górecki. Lullabies, Mother Sings, Father Plays by Roberto Musci. This was the one that I said, I don't know if it's really technically classical. It feels much more folk to me. But it was at least a nice change of pace while I was listening. Oh gosh, how do we say this? Daguerreotype 3. Blanchette, acoustic instrumental, Olivia Belli. With the Orderly Life by Sylvain Chavot. Impromptu by Olivia Belli. Valse by Antonio Carlos Jobim. I think that J is pronounced like an H. For Stephen, and I believe it's pronounced Effier de Visser, rework by Joop Beving and Effier de Visser. I think I'm saying that correctly. I would assume that J is pronounced more like a Y. JIN, I think it's JIN, by Martin Kohlstedt. Dance, movement number 1, When You're Broken Up by Anna Klein. There Will Be Hope by Hania Rani and Dobrawa Chocher. Gosh, alright, I'm doing my best. Channels Passing by Paul Drescher. Orange One by Hauschka. And then the last one was We Played Some Open Chords and Rejoiced, for the Earth Had Circled the Sun Yet Another Year by A Winged Victory for the Solon. That was the longest title out of all of these, but at least it's in my language. And so then out of all of those, I put on a small little playlist to save for later. I like the Illusionist Suite one by Philip Glass, the Mad Rush one by Philip Glass, Uma by Job Rogovin, the Lantern, Mirrors by Ravel, Daguerreotype, number 3, I think I'm saying that right. With the Orderly Life, For Stephen, and Yin. Those were all the ones that I ended up saving separately because I really like those a lot. So I will try to put up a picture of whatever the playlist it was. It was just called, it was just called Modern Classical Music. It's on Spotify. I literally just searched up modern classical music. But it had some really nice options. So if you're interested in listening to modern classical music, you're maybe a little bit intimidated by it, because I was too, honestly. I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't familiar with a lot of classical music. I think after listening to it, I realized, oh, I actually am more familiar with it than I realized. It just wasn't what I was thinking it was gonna be. Yeah, definitely don't be intimidated by it. Go listen to this playlist, go listen to other playlists, and open and broaden your horizons, because I did today and I thought this was a good experiment to try out. Now I gotta edit this video, and that's gonna be a long process with all my B-roll of me doing my chores around the house. But of course, if you like this video and you'd like to see more of it, feel free to subscribe to the channel. And otherwise, I will see you next time. Goodbye. basically most of the day of today. What kind of language of day? Yeah, and the other good thing was, well, and the other good thing was that I was hoping to find at least one or two that train doesn't come through very often, but when it does,